We're back. We're here with Heather Linstad. She is the Capital Campaign Director of the Chelmsford Alumni Association and its new Lions Pride Endowment Fund. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Are you a Chelmsford alum?
I'm from Westford.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
We're going to kick her off the show now.
well, that's all right. Anybody can be a part of it, but you're in Chelmsford. So anyways, but some of your guests have kind of talked about the pride of Chelmsford. They're new to the area, and certainly that's, trying to build up the campaign because, the people of Chelmsford want to know more about the association, but certainly the alum are pretty proud that they're Lions, right? And that they graduated from Chelmsford. So they kind of started the campaign back in the day, but we're trying to kick it off really to do three things. Technically is build the building. That's we have the land on Richardson Road. As you know, George Simone has been around forever, but we've got to endow that position because we're not going to have an executive director do it for free like he has since '89. And lastly, we want to make it a dues-free organization where everybody that graduates from Chelmsford High has a home. And certainly the building will be a nice home too. But it's always nice, I think we all know it, we leave a town or we stay and you want something. You always feel a little more comfortable even when you go to the 4th of July parade. I don't know if you've gone to our Chelmsford parade, but you go to the tent for the Alumni Association and everybody feels home, and you can meet everybody that you ever graduated from at the tent. So it's kind of those things. But
Well, I've been to a number of alumni inductee events, and it's really amazing what Chelmsford alumni have done over the years. And one of the I can't think of her first name, but Curran, she was inducted I think maybe 2 years ago. Megan, yeah.
There you go.
And very young. So I consider myself, when I go to these events, right, I consider myself young. So people say, what year did you graduate? And I kind of hesitate for a second because I graduated in 2000, which the problem with graduating in 2000 is everybody can immediately calculate back the exact year and how many years older they are than you, right? So a lot of them they graduated 1958, right? So they immediately go, oh, it's like one of those shocking moments. But she was inducted that year, and she's younger than me. I think 2010 was her class year. And I was like, wow, somebody's so young getting inducted. When they had finished talking about the things that she had accomplished in her short career as just, in the military, I was blown away. I was like, wow, half the people that are up here that have been, they're in their 50s and 60s, they don't even deserve to be up here in comparison. So, no, but we have a huge list of just amazing alumni that I am sure you guys want to highlight as part of this.
Well, I think this is the thing. And number one, did you like your commencement speaker in 2000?
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, you better remember. Guess what? It was me.
Oh, okay.
How was that?
I was a little too.
So yeah, that's kind of shocking. But the thing that we're trying to do with the association too is have networking nights. You know what I mean? We give out 121. We've just added about 3 more scholarships. So 124 scholarships to graduating seniors and or alumni who are in grad school. We have definitely the Hall of Fame to highlight. But now we're trying to do a lot of networking nights, and we've started a SHARE program. And the SHARE program is, and you need to sign up, to be mentors for our high school students. So if you're a freshman or a senior and you want to think about a career path where you're going, maybe you're confused about what college you want to do, you can go to the SHARE program. You'll get matched up with a mentor, and you can talk about it. Talk about what school you want to go to, or is this the career path? Do I really want, we've got females that have been engineers that have grown, and a lot of females, go through the science part, and you're like, can I really, as a female, be in engineering? And to look at some of our alum and be like, okay, let me talk to her, and maybe that's a path. So that is what the association is about, and I think that, everybody wants to give back, and that's one of the greatest things. We can't really quantify why our association is unique, but it is, because not many public schools have them. But how did it grow so large? And why are we having a campaign because of it? Well, it's because so many people are so proud of it. And you are correct. It's the making currents. It's not just the old people that are like, hey, I just want, an alumni association to go back to. It's a lot of young people that are so vested in giving back and saying thank you. And I think people said that about the campaign. And when I took over, they said, Heather, how are you going to raise all this money? Well, we certainly have a lot of alumni that have done very, very well. But I think, in truth, if we think about a class, and I was in the 80s, we had 600 students. I think there's a lot of us that have a thank you. And maybe my thank you is from 500 and to 50,000. But you know what? I think everybody's so proud of graduating, and it's very funny, and you probably see it though. You go anywhere across the country and you say Chelmsford, and people are like, oh, really? You're from Chelmsford? And/or they graduated from Chelmsford. They're like, oh, I'm a graduate too. And you're like, and the whole conversation goes, and then you take over a conversation. Other people are around you, and they're like, are they just still talking about Chelmsford High School? Is that what they're doing? And you feel a little crazy about it, but it is kind of funny how that works. And I mean, if your dad was here, I replied, I would still have to call him Mr. Reddy because, of the school thing and my parents and, those kind of things. And anybody I struggled to call George Simonian George because that's what he's told me, and not call him Mr. Simonian. And I just think that that's kind of the pride of the town.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would tell you that if you had to ask me why it grew to be as big and as great as it is, I think one, first and foremost, is that George Simonian had a passion like no other human being has ever had a passion for building such an association. So, he really continues to light the fire, and he's really an unbelievable individual if you see him at these events. And
oh yeah.
So from that perspective, that helped. But I also think because it's not a sports alumni, it's really, it's open to everybody, not only just from, certainly there are people that their accomplishments were some of the sports, but they also look at it from an academic and also, an accomplishment standpoint, which I don't think all of the alumni that exist in other schools are like that.
You're right, like a Hall of Fames and those kind of things. Everybody kind of keys on the athletes, right? And that's great, but there are so many people that are out there that have done so many unbelievable things. From the arts to we've got the guy that helped create The Simpsons. Those kind of things. And if you watch The Simpsons, you could actually, and the town of Chelmsford, you can kind of pull into a building. So you're like, whoa.
Good old Lance Wilder.
Yeah. So actually, and I graduated with him. So those kind of things are just unbelievable. And the funny part is, George saw something that, and Billy Cohane was one of the graduates that was like, but George saw something that was a need that everybody was asking for because he's not even a Chelmsford alum, so that's what's so funny. So everybody just kind of merged to it, but you're right, you described it perfectly. It's his passion.
Well, he was a principal at a school that is no longer a school.
Yeah.
It's now a town hall. So, the guy's been around a long time. I think he's earned his stripes as a Chelmsford person at this point.
Oh, well, I would call him Mr. Chelmsford, too. Certainly, when I took the position, I said that to him. I said, I don't know if I'll ever have the energy that you have. But again, I think it is just talking to people, talking to the alum, and everybody is wondering about it. I think if we all bond together, which I think we have, we can continue to do great things. And the biggest thing is for this Alumni Association, again, is that we want to just keep giving back, right? We want to make sure that our current students at the high school have an avenue we can all mentor. The networking, we all know it. We graduate from college after 4 years, and you come back to town, and you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, for networking nights and what we're going to call the Lions Link, to be able to call somebody that's in your field and ask for a job, or you know what I mean, or work in those things. So I think that's what people kind of wonder about, and certainly the scholarships and to honor our Hall of Fame. I do have to admit, I'm in the Hall of Fame, and I sometimes want to take my name out. I hear, or I go to the dinners, I'm like, oh, maybe I don't belong in there anymore. So it just keeps getting bigger and better, and I think that's a tribute to the school system, and it's a tribute, obviously, to the community, and people moving into like the people that have the establishments, like Lisa, who was just here from the Agway. I mean, I just think that the town, and your title, Town Talk, I mean, we do have something that's different.
Yeah, it's very community-based. I mean, there's really no other way to slice it. And I think people really do care about not only the community, but about each other, and that certainly has lent a big hand in it. Talk a little bit about this building that you guys envision. I mean, you said you have a site on Richardson Road. You have like kind of a schematic as to what it may look like someday?
Yeah, we do. We have the renderings. We have an architect. It's supposed to be about 17.5 as far as square footage. Basically one floor with a rotunda of putting out things, a conference kind of seating area for would sit 240 people. It would house the executive director, and that's something we're trying to endow, and kind of a staff. It would look like a Hall of Fame. I know, if you go into the Chelmsford school and you go in the library, we have our author's corner and stuff like that. But in addition, I mean, you go to George Simonian's house, or you go to the Historic Society. I mean, we have yearbooks from 1917 to all the way through, and just different things. And it's not just sports memorabilia. It's about our authors and people that have written books and stuff like that. It would be a great gathering place. I talk about the 4th of July parade, and I met this woman. She came back, and she's back in the area, and she's going to make her roots back in Chelmsford because her parents are getting older, and she had to come back. And she was like, should I be a substitute teacher? Where should I go? And, you could go to the Alumni Association. It's going to be Alumni Hall, and you could find, help and kind of give back to the community. I was surprised already when I've asked for volunteers for the campaign. People are like, anything I can do to help, and so to have that kind of home. So it would be able to have class reunions. It would be able to host network nights. The SHARE program, and allowing kids to walk out of the high school and just walk over there and meet with mentors in a nice situation, those kind of things. So, but it would be a nice place. Again, we've just talked about it, the camaraderie of the community. It would be another kind of avenue of where to go just to meet and be part of, again, the community, and allow us to continue to grow the association, though, and do the right things by the students and the whole community.
Now, how much money do you have to raise to be
We have to raise a lot of money. So the ultimate goal, as you look at me, would be $9 million. But again, if we phase it in, I mean, those phases are, do we get enough money into around $2 million for the endowment for the executive director and their staff, so we have that. The building probably is going to be around the $5 million mark. And then dues and stuff like that would come into it. So in and around that, but it's going to be one of those things. I think if we can continue to grow the association and understand why the building is important and how it can give back to the community, I think those are the kind of things that we have to talk about. But, and again, we kind of talk about it, but it would overlook the track. It's right there. So, I mean, if you wanted to do anything with the football and any of the sports things, you could always have that site. Right next to Harrington School, though, I mean, they're always looking for areas to do things. You can't fit everything in the Harrington School. You could have the Alumni Association to host meetings and parent nights and those kind of things. So, so it's a lot. It's an undertaking, but again, I think if we really kind of think about it, and if we think about how many graduates we have, and it doesn't have to just be alumni, because the people of Chelmsford now, if they want to give the Alumni Association, because sooner or later their kids are going to graduate and they're going to want the benefits of the scholarships and those kind of things. So I think it's a town undertaking as well as alumni. But for me, if you have a thank you, if you can just kind of think about your 4 years at Chelmsford High, and some only had 3 at Chelmsford High, but if you only have one thank you, what would it be? And I think most of us would say that there had to have been something. There had to have been a teacher, a counselor, or somebody that gave you a kind of the push or the kick in the butt and said, get going and get this done. So hopefully there's a lot of alum that want to say thank you.
Well, Bernie Battle had his way. I would have had 5 years there. I love Bernie.
Me too. Don't you like that you can call him Bernie Battle now?
Yeah, no, he was my dean when I was going through, and he was quite the hoot. Oh my goodness, him and I had really a back and forth that was special. Yeah, and he's still a friend now.
Yeah. On our Facebook page, we did we do Trivia Tuesday now on our Facebook page, and one of the best questions so far has been, who was your favorite dean? What was the color of your house? What house were you in? I mean, I didn't realize that was kind of a rivalry thing too, to talk about what house you were in at the high school. But so, what house were you in?
I was in the Whittier house.
Yeah, see?
See, I was jealous because so Al Thomas was my swim coach growing up,
Yeah.
so I wanted him to originally be my dean, but
Yeah.
so I had Bernie Battle, and that was a good time. And actually, Jeff Doherty was the other dean at the time.
Okay.
So it was
Yeah.
really really a trifecta going on.
Oh, there's, yeah. Well, and I'll have to call him Mr. Doherty, but I had him as a soccer coach, and but I had Dean Quinn in Emerson, so we were blue.
Blue.
And I can't even remember. Whittier red?
I think maybe we were green.
Green.
I think
there
we
you
were
go.
green.
I don't even care. I just knew Emerson and blue, right? So,
Well, you end up going to classes with the same people, and you kind of click in, which is pretty cool. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, in fairness to our next guest, tell us a little bit about how people can go about donating to the Alumni Association if they are at all inspired about it.
So our website is chsalumni.org, and if you go on there, certainly it's going to be mailers. We have the brochures and those kind of things. So you can go on the website. You can find me at linstadh at chsalumni.org if you want to talk to me and go through anything. So, I think if they want to give back and they have any questions of why. But also, though, I'd love everybody to go on the website. I mean, if you've graduated and you think you could be a great mentor to our high school students, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Just go to the website, click on share, become a mentor. All it is, you're not tied into anything. It's if they want to email you or phone you, that's all it, and you say, hey, terrific, Providence College was a great school. I mean, that can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
In a young person's life. And so really it is about, if that's their thank you, just signing up to be a mentor for Share, then I've won, because a kid has won in that respect.
Absolutely. Yep. That's great give back. So,
Yep.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show. And,
Thank you. I'm sorry I got you on the trivia question of me being your commencement speaker, but nice to meet you.
Well, you did a great job because it was a great graduation.
Great. Thanks for having me.